Listen, let me tell you something powerful that most people miss. Life responds to the way you show up, not just the words you say, not just the wishes you whisper before going to sleep, but the energy you carry when you walk into a room, the expectation you hold in your heart. Florence Scovel Shinn taught a principle that sounds simple, but it can flip your entire world upside down if you actually live it. Act as if it is already done. Now I know what some people are thinking. How am I supposed to act like it's done when I can't see it yet? That's exactly the point. Most people wait for proof before they believe. They wait for the money before they feel abundant. They wait for the opportunity before they feel confident. They wait for love before they feel worthy. But the truth is, life doesn't work that way. The outer world follows the inner world. The feeling comes first, the evidence comes later. Think about it for a second. When someone truly expects good things to happen, they move differently. They talk differently. They walk into conversations with this quiet confidence, like, yeah, something amazing is about to happen. And people feel that vibe. Opportunities feel that vibe. It's like the universe is saying, all right, you're ready, let's make it happen. Florence used to say that imagination is the workshop where your future is built. So when you act as if it's already done, you're basically stepping into that future version of yourself right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, right now. Imagine the person who already has the life you want, the career, the peace of mind, the financial freedom, the love, the opportunities. That person isn't walking around stressed out every 5 minutes. They're not doubting themselves every time they take a step. They move with a sense of certainty. They're calm, focused, and grounded because deep down, they know things are working out. So here's the shift. Instead of waking up every day asking, what if it doesn't happen? Start waking up thinking, of course it's happening. You don't have to scream it from the rooftops. You don't have to fake some over-the-top positivity. Just carry the quiet belief that the outcome is already settled. When you act as if it's done, something interesting happens inside you. Fear starts losing its grip. Doubt starts fading into the background. You begin making decisions from a place of faith instead of panic. And that's when doors start opening. Now don't get it twisted. Acting as if it's done doesn't mean sitting on the couch doing nothing. It's not about pretending while avoiding action. It's about moving through life with the attitude that the path is already unfolding. You take steps, but you're not desperate. You're not chasing. You're aligning. And here's something really wild. When you truly believe something is already on its way, you stop sabotaging yourself. A lot of people block their own blessings because they can't imagine things working out. They second-guess opportunities. They talk themselves out of dreams. They shrink back when life starts presenting possibilities. But when you act as if it's done, you start saying yes to the right things. You start showing up in rooms you once felt too small for. You start speaking with a level of confidence that surprises even you. And suddenly, people start noticing. Let me keep it real with you. The world is full of people who are waiting for permission to believe in themselves, waiting for someone to confirm they're good enough, waiting for circumstances to line up perfectly. But the people who actually change their lives, they decide first. They decide that abundance is theirs. They decide that success belongs in their story. They decide that the right opportunities are already finding them. And then they walk like it. There's a kind of quiet swagger that comes from faith, not arrogance, not ego. Just the calm knowing that things are working behind the scenes, even when the path looks messy, even when the timing feels slow. Believe that faith is not blind hope. Faith is seeing the invisible before it becomes visible. It's holding the picture of victory in your mind so clearly that your actions naturally start matching it. And here's the thing, people don't talk about enough. Acting as if it's done changes how other people treat you. When you respect your own vision, others start respecting it too. When you believe your future is bright, people begin seeing that light around you. You don't need to convince everyone. You just need to hold your vision steady. Because eventually the outer world catches up to the inner belief. So the next time doubt creeps in and whispers, "What if it doesn't work?" Flip the script. Stand tall and think, it's already handled. Walk into that meeting like the opportunity is yours. Speak about your dreams like they're already unfolding. Treat your goals like appointments that are already on the calendar of destiny. Act as if the blessing has already been released. Act as if the door has already been unlocked. Act as if the breakthrough is already moving toward you. And watch what happens. Because when your mind, your words, and your actions line up with the feeling of fulfillment, the universe has a funny way of rearranging circumstances to match that belief. So keep your vision clear. Keep your faith steady. Move with confidence, even when you can't see the whole road yet. Act as if it's already done, and life will start proving you right. Most people move through life believing that they need proof before they can feel confident. They tell themselves, when I see the money, then I'll believe I'm successful. Or, when the opportunity finally shows up, then I'll start acting like I belong there. But this mindset quietly traps them in a cycle of waiting. They are constantly standing on the sidelines of their own dreams, hoping life will give them permission to believe in something better. The truth, however, is that life often works in the exact opposite direction. The inner belief usually comes before the visible result. When you start acting as if your desire is already fulfilled, something shifts inside your mind. You stop walking through life like someone who is hoping for a miracle and begin moving like someone who already expects one. That change might sound small, but it completely alters the way you show up in everyday situations. Your posture changes, the tone of your voice changes, and even the way you approach conversations starts to carry a different kind of energy. Instead of speaking with hesitation or doubt, you speak with calm assurance, as if the outcome you desire is already being arranged behind the scenes. Think about how different a person behaves when they truly expect something good to happen. When someone believes an opportunity is coming their way, they prepare for it. They start learning, planning, and putting themselves in the right environments. They walk into rooms with a certain quiet confidence, not arrogance, but the kind of presence that says, yeah, I belong here. People can feel that energy even if they can't explain it. In everyday American slang, people might say that person has a good vibe, or that they carry themselves like a winner. That vibe doesn't come from pretending or forcing positivity. It comes from the deep inner decision that the future is already working in their favor. And once that belief takes root, their actions naturally begin to align with it. They stop shrinking back from chances that once scared them. They stop overthinking every step. Instead, they start leaning into opportunities with curiosity and courage. What's fascinating is how this mindset influences the way others respond to you. When you constantly doubt yourself, people often pick up on that uncertainty, even if you try to hide it. But when you carry the quiet expectation that something good is unfolding in your life, your presence becomes magnetic. People feel comfortable trusting you with responsibilities, inviting you into conversations, or opening doors that might have stayed closed before. It's almost like the world begins reflecting the confidence you're holding inside. This doesn't mean that everything magically becomes easy overnight. Challenges still appear and setbacks still happen. But the difference is in how you interpret them. Instead of seeing obstacles as signs that your dream is impossible, you begin to see them as temporary steps in a bigger process that is already moving in your favor. When Florence Scovel Shinn spoke about acting as if something is already done, she was pointing to this powerful mental shift. Acting as if doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not. It means stepping into the identity of the person you are becoming. For example, someone who believes prosperity is already on its way does not constantly speak about lack or failure. Their words start reflecting abundance. They talk about their goals with excitement instead of hesitation. They treat their work, their ideas, and their time as valuable. Over time, this attitude shapes the choices they make. Instead of avoiding risk because of fear, they take thoughtful action because they trust that the path will unfold. You can see this pattern in many successful people, even if they never use spiritual language to explain it. Long before their achievements became visible, they carried a deep expectation that they would succeed. They practiced their craft, prepared themselves, and walked into situations believing that something big was possible. That expectation gave them the courage to keep going when results were still invisible. If they had waited for proof before believing in themselves, they might have stopped long before their breakthrough arrived. Acting as if your desire is already fulfilled also changes the emotional atmosphere of your life. When you constantly think your dream is far away or impossible, your mind naturally fills with worry and frustration. Every delay feels like a personal failure, but when you adopt the attitude that the outcome is already settled in your favor, patience becomes easier. You start moving through life with a relaxed confidence. You still take action, you still make plans, but you're not operating from panic. It's more like you're cooperating with a process that is already underway. People often describe this state as being in the flow, where things seem to align more smoothly and ideas appear at the right time. Another interesting thing happens when you start living with this expectation. You become more aware of possibilities that you once ignored. Opportunities often exist around us, but when our minds are focused on doubt, we overlook them. When you believe good things are already moving toward you, your mind becomes more open and observant. You start noticing connections, ideas, and chances that previously slipped past you. This awareness allows you to act quickly and confidently when the right moment appears. So the real power of acting as if it's already done lies in the way it transforms your mindset and behavior. You stop living like someone who is begging the world for approval and start living like someone who is ready to receive what is already theirs. You prepare for success instead of worrying about failure. You move forward with the quiet understanding that life often responds to the expectations you hold, and in many cases, the moment you begin carrying that belief is the moment the outer world slowly begins arranging itself to match it. When a person begins to embody the version of themselves who already has the result they desire, something subtle but powerful begins to change in the way they experience everyday life. Instead of constantly feeling like they are chasing something far away, they begin to feel as if they are stepping into a role that already belongs to them. This idea is not about pretending or living in fantasy. It is about shifting your inner identity so that your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors begin to match the future you are moving toward. Imagine for a moment the person you would become if your dream had already come true. Maybe that dream involves financial freedom, a successful career, a thriving business, or a life filled with peace and meaningful relationships. The version of you living that reality would likely move through the world with a sense of calm confidence. That person would not wake up each day wondering if they are worthy of success. They would already know it. Their decisions would reflect stability and trust instead of constant hesitation. By starting to adopt that mindset today, even before the external results appear, you begin to close the distance between who you are now and who you are becoming. Many people unknowingly hold on to the identity of the person they used to be. They carry old stories about themselves, stories of struggle, limitation, or doubt, and those stories quietly influence how they behave. For example, someone who still sees themselves as unlucky might hesitate to pursue new opportunities because deep down they expect things to go wrong. Someone who believes success belongs only to other people might downplay their talents or avoid taking bold steps. But when you start embodying the future version of yourself, you gradually release those old labels. You begin thinking, speaking, and acting from the perspective of the person you are becoming, not the person you once believed you were. This shift may start with small choices. You might begin organizing your time more intentionally, investing energy into learning new skills, or placing yourself in environments that inspire growth. These actions send a clear message to your mind. You are preparing for the life you expect to live. The fascinating thing about identity is that it shapes behavior automatically. When someone truly sees themselves as capable, creative, and deserving of opportunity, they naturally make decisions that support that belief. They take their work seriously. They communicate their ideas with clarity. They allow themselves to imagine bigger possibilities instead of shrinking their vision. In everyday American slang, people might say they show up like a boss, or that they carry themselves with real confidence. That confidence does not necessarily mean they never feel nervous or uncertain. It simply means they refuse to let fear define their identity. They understand that growth often requires stepping into spaces where they are still learning, but they approach those moments with the belief that they belong there. When you embody the future version of yourself, your emotional responses also begin to change. Instead of reacting to every challenge with frustration or self-doubt, you start responding with curiosity and resilience. You might think, okay, this is just part of the process, rather than assuming something has gone terribly wrong. The person who already has the life you want would not collapse at the first sign of difficulty. They would stay steady, adjust their approach, and keep moving forward. By adopting that same mindset now, you train yourself to remain grounded even when circumstances are uncertain. Over time, this emotional stability becomes one of your greatest strengths because it allows you to think clearly and act wisely, while others are overwhelmed by stress. Another powerful aspect of embodying your future self is how it influences the way you interact with other people. When you see yourself as someone who is capable and valuable, your conversations naturally reflect that belief. You express your ideas more freely, you listen with genuine interest, and you engage with others from a place of self-respect. People often respond positively to this kind of presence because it communicates authenticity and assurance. They sense that you are comfortable with who you are becoming, and that confidence can open doors to collaboration, mentorship, and opportunity. You are no longer waiting for someone to validate your potential. You are already living in alignment with it. Florence Scovel Shinn often emphasized that imagination plays a key role in shaping our future experiences. When you picture yourself living the life you desire and allow yourself to feel the emotions connected to that reality, you begin creating a mental blueprint for your actions. The mind starts searching for ways to bring your outer circumstances closer to that inner picture. This does not mean that every step will be perfectly planned or predictable. In fact, many opportunities arrive in unexpected forms. But when you are embodying the person who is ready for those opportunities, you are more likely to recognize them and respond with courage. Over time, this process becomes less about forcing yourself to act confident and more about genuinely growing into the person you imagined. The habits you develop, the environments you choose, and the decisions you make gradually reinforce your new identity. You begin to realize that the future you once dreamed about is not as distant as it seemed. It is slowly taking shape through the consistent alignment of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. In many ways, embodying the version of yourself who already has the result is like stepping onto a path that has been waiting for you all along. With each step, the gap between vision and reality becomes smaller, and the life you once imagined begins to feel like the natural expression of who you truly are becoming. When a person truly begins to live with the feeling that things are already working out in their favor, something powerful starts happening within their mind and emotions. Fear and doubt, which once felt overwhelming, begin to lose their grip. They may not disappear overnight, but they no longer control every decision. Most people move through life constantly worried about what might go wrong. Their thoughts are filled with questions like, what if I fail? What if people judge me? Or, what if this opportunity doesn't work out? These worries quietly influence their behavior. They hesitate before taking action, they delay decisions, and sometimes they avoid opportunities altogether because the fear of disappointment feels stronger than the hope of success. But when someone adopts the mindset that life is already unfolding in their favor, those fears start to shrink. The person no longer sees every challenge as a threat to their future. Instead, they begin seeing challenges as temporary situations that can be handled, learned from, and eventually overcome. This shift creates a kind of emotional stability that many people rarely experience. Instead of reacting to every obstacle with panic, the individual develops a calm and steady outlook. When something unexpected happens, they pause and think, all right, this might look tough right now, but somehow it's going to work out. That simple belief changes the entire tone of the moment. Rather than rushing into decisions based on anxiety, they approach the situation with patience and clarity. Their mind becomes less crowded with worst-case scenarios, which allows them to focus on practical solutions. In everyday American slang, you might say they stop freaking out over every little thing and start keeping their cool. This calmness is not denial of reality. It is the result of trusting that difficulties are part of a larger process that is ultimately moving towards something positive. When fear no longer dominates the mind, a person gains the freedom to take bolder steps. Many dreams remain unrealized, not because they are impossible, but because the individual is too afraid to try. Fear whispers that failure will be embarrassing, that risks are dangerous, and that it is safer to remain exactly where you are. But when you believe that your life is already moving toward a favorable outcome, you become more willing to explore new possibilities. You might apply for an opportunity you once thought was beyond your reach, share an idea you were previously too shy to express, or invest your time and effort into a vision that excites you. These actions may feel uncomfortable at first, but they also create momentum. Each step forward reinforces the belief that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. Another important effect of this mindset is the way it transforms your relationship with uncertainty. Life is full of moments when the future is unclear, and that uncertainty often triggers anxiety. People want guarantees before they commit to a path, yet guarantees rarely exist. When someone is guided by fear, uncertainty feels like a warning sign telling them to stop. But when someone is guided by faith and expectation, uncertainty feels more like an open space filled with possibilities. Instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" they begin asking, "What if this works out even better than I imagined?" That small change in perspective encourages creativity and optimism. It allows the mind to explore solutions rather than becoming trapped in worry. Florence Scovel Shinn often spoke about the importance of maintaining faith even when circumstances appear discouraging. Acting as if something is already done requires trusting that unseen forces are aligning events in ways that may not be immediately obvious. From the outside, this might look like simple optimism, but on the inside, it feels like a quiet certainty that the journey has purpose. When a person holds this belief consistently, their emotional reactions become more balanced. They do not swing wildly between excitement and despair every time something changes. Instead, they maintain a steady sense of direction, like someone navigating through a long journey with confidence that the destination is already set. This emotional steadiness also strengthens resilience. Life will inevitably present moments of disappointment, setbacks, or delays. When a person relies solely on external success for motivation, those setbacks can feel devastating. They may interpret every obstacle as proof that their dream is unrealistic. But when someone believes the outcome is already working in their favor, setbacks lose their power to define the entire story. The individual may feel frustration for a moment, but they quickly regain perspective. They remind themselves that progress often includes challenges, and that each difficulty can provide valuable lessons. This resilience allows them to keep moving forward when others might give up. As fear and doubt fade into the background, the individual begins to experience a deeper sense of inner peace. Instead of constantly worrying about the future, they focus on the actions they can take today. Their energy becomes directed toward growth, creativity, and meaningful effort rather than endless concern. Friends and colleagues may notice this shift and describe the person as calm, confident, or even inspiring. They might wonder how someone can remain so steady during uncertain times. The answer lies in the belief that life is unfolding exactly as it should. Over time, this mindset becomes a powerful foundation for success and fulfillment. Decisions are no longer driven by panic or insecurity, but by purpose and faith. The person moves through life with the quiet understanding that challenges are temporary and that every experience contributes to a greater outcome. By refusing to let fear control their actions, they open the door to opportunities, relationships, and achievements that once seemed impossible. In this way, living with the assumption that things are already working out becomes more than just a positive thought. It becomes a way of navigating the world with courage, trust, and unwavering determination. One of the most remarkable aspects of this principle is the way the outer world eventually begins to mirror the beliefs that a person consistently holds within. At first, this idea may sound surprising because many people assume that circumstances control their thoughts and feelings. They believe that if life improves, then they will naturally feel hopeful, confident, and positive. But over time, countless experiences reveal that the relationship often works the other way around. The beliefs a person carries inside their mind gradually shape the choices they make, the actions they take, and even the opportunities they recognize around them. When someone consistently thinks, speaks, and behaves as though their success is already secured, their daily habits begin aligning with that expectation. They no longer approach life with the mindset of scarcity or limitation. Instead, they begin operating from a sense of fulfillment, as if the good they desire is already unfolding, and they are simply moving along the path that leads to it. This inner shift affects countless small decisions that might otherwise go unnoticed. For example, a person who believes that abundance is part of their future will likely treat their time and energy with greater respect. They may become more disciplined in how they work, more thoughtful in the way they communicate, and more focused on opportunities that align with their goals. Instead of wasting hours doubting themselves or comparing their progress to others, they direct their attention toward meaningful action. Over weeks and months, these small choices accumulate, gradually creating visible results. What once felt like a distant dream begins to take shape through consistent effort guided by belief. It is not that the world suddenly changes overnight, but the individual begins participating in life in a way that naturally produces better outcomes. Another important element of this process is the language people use when they speak about their lives. Words have a powerful influence on the mind because they reinforce the beliefs we hold. When someone constantly speaks about failure, lack, or limitation, those ideas become deeply rooted in their thinking. Their mind starts searching for evidence that confirms those negative expectations. But when a person begins speaking as if their success is already unfolding, their words reinforce a completely different perspective. They might say things like, "Things are lining up for me," or "I know the right opportunity is coming." These statements are not empty optimism. They are expressions of faith in the process of growth. Over time, the mind starts organizing thoughts and actions around that expectation, and this internal organization begins influencing external circumstances. The fascinating thing is that people around us often respond to the confidence created by this belief. When someone carries themselves with the calm assurance that their future is bright, others tend to notice. They may feel more comfortable offering support, sharing ideas, or opening doors that might otherwise remain closed. Opportunities often flow through relationships and interactions, and a confident presence can encourage those opportunities to appear more frequently. In everyday American slang, people might say someone is putting out good energy or attracting the right vibes. While those phrases are informal, they capture the idea that a positive and confident mindset can influence how others perceive and interact with you. This principle also encourages persistence. When you believe that your desired outcome is already secured in some way, you are less likely to abandon your efforts at the first sign of difficulty. Instead of interpreting obstacles as proof that your goal is unreachable, you see them as temporary challenges that can be worked through. This persistence is often the difference between those who eventually succeed and those who give up too early. Many achievements appear sudden to outside observers, but in reality, they are the result of consistent belief and action maintained over time. The individual kept moving forward because they trusted that their efforts were leading somewhere meaningful. In addition, acting from the assumption of fulfillment changes the emotional atmosphere of your life. When you believe something good is already on its way, you experience less tension and desperation. You still work toward your goals, but your motivation comes from enthusiasm rather than fear. This shift makes the journey itself more enjoyable. You start appreciating progress instead of constantly worrying about how far you still have to go. That sense of appreciation strengthens your confidence and encourages you to continue growing.